Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out and generate more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and make a bigger contribution.
So we're going to cover the 5 M's to 5X your growth, sales, and your business. So glad you could be with us. Essentially, the 5 M's give you the ability to have what we refer to as the perfect client blueprint to be able to get clients daily, right? And today you're going to discover a few key things. If you are struggling to get clients, if you're struggling with the tech side of thing, if you're trying to understand, Sue brought up a great point, and she said, the American model seems a little bit too much in your face. I'm paraphrasing using my words. I don't think she said it exactly that way, but hopefully I'm getting close. In your face compared to my clients overseas, right? And so I would encourage you to go beyond the message through me, the messenger, but get to the point of the strategies here, right? To help you get more clients overall. And I want to encourage you to stay with me throughout because I want to answer your questions, right? You submitted questions. I want to respect you for being here. This actual presentation was stimulated from what I described in our opening before we officially got rolling, and that is a client we worked with through September. Just literally, it stopped a handful of days ago, and they had over 175 people. Daniel Marcos working with Vern Harnish on their masterclass, $2,400 program, and generated 175 people in 17 days. Now, if you'd like me to show you behind the scenes of the things they did exactly to move that amount of, help that amount of clients, can you type yes in the chat window? I just want to make sure you'd like to know how they did that as well, because that's going to be a real focal point, because I think it's going to tie into a lot of what you're asking and tying in with the 5 M's. So I think I'm seeing a few yeses popping in. So glad you could be here. On top of that, for example, this is something that's proven, not just today, like in the middle of COVID, in the middle of a disaster, that some people are facing. Let's face it, it's tough out there, right? So that's why these strategies not only work today, which, that case study is a good example, but it's also worked over time. Like this guy here, Telman Knutson, focuses in hypnosis, had some education programs. We got started and we helped him generate over 95,000 in 21 days with one campaign and millions over time of us working together. Another good example was this live cast that we co-hosted together. This guy, Joe Polish, he's the founder of a group called Genius Network, which is high profile celebrity kind of entrepreneurs, if you will. They call them thought leaders, whatever that fancy pants term is. But we, not only built a campaign that did 351,000 in 17 days, over a couple of years, the company grew by 3 times and profit by 12 times, right? So what we're going to show you today is how you can get your perfect client blueprint in place to get clients daily using what we refer to as the 5 M's, right? The 5 M's. These are so incredibly important. And like I said, there's several questions that came in. And so I want to dive over. I'm going to share my other screen here because I'm actually going to draw this out for you. I didn't prepare a bunch of slides because I was customizing this to all the questions that continued to flow in this morning as well. So just give me a second to switch my screens here. And we're going to go over to my pad and we're going to be able to check this out. And I'm going to walk through the 5 M's first, and then I'm going to walk you through the case study. All right. So here we go. So the 5 M's, you want to think about your client journey, right, that your clients are going to go on, and kind of think of it in terms of a path, not like a ladder, but think of it as a path, right? So the first M, and by the way, where did this come from? So I'm fascinated and incredibly curious. So I've been in business for 30 years. I've had over 200,000 people buy our education programs and services through the different companies we've run. We've coached over 5,000 business owners, founders, CEOs, and clients. And today we get to work with a lot of amazing private clients, and it's a lot of fun. And on top of that, I'm an angel investor. And so in investing, I really like to know the kind of companies that are out there, who does what works, what doesn't work. So I've researched over 4,000 companies over the last few years and interviewed actually over 1,000 of the founders and CEOs. And what we found is there's a couple key characteristics, 5 key characteristics that all the successful companies have, right? That are a through line, part of this journey. So I'm going to walk you through what those are. Number 1 is the mindset, right? So you're going to probably want grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I go kind of quick. And we only have a limited amount of time to be able to go through this, plus answer your very direct questions that also had filtered in as well. So mindset. So what we need to do is we need to be thinking here related to mindset. One of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have a challenge with is their own head trash, right? My own head trash. We all have it, right? And a lot of this stems back to our childhood. Childhood kind of things that have happened that are anchors that sometimes that we're kind of working to prove either to move away from or to go towards something that's the opposite of, right? We're either exactly like our parents or we're the exact opposite of our parents as it relates. So we all deal with this. Here's the second thing with entrepreneurs, maybe like you, founders, CEOs, and interviewing and reviewing these 4,000 companies, interviewing thousands of these founders, is the hardest thing for them to do is to let go, which is also a mindset factor, right? It's a mindset factor. Or another version of mindset is thinking, I have to do it myself. Or thinking, oh, I can't do this unless I have the resources. And actually what is true is quite the opposite, is I've got to have the resourcefulness versus resources. Resourcefulness, right? And as an entrepreneur, we have to learn to be resourceful. Like the most thing, you've probably heard of the Jeff Bezos story, and there's so many of them. There's so many different ones. You heard the Oprah story probably when they're basically poverty, right? And Jeff Bezos was down to a few $100s. He sold all of his stuff. He was living in an apartment. This isn't that long ago. And now look at Jeff Bezos, right? But what if he would have just said, well, I don't have the money, and I gotta have this apartment. He looked at a different way, a different path to be able to accomplish his goal. So head trash, letting go, resourcefulness, mindset is so critically important. Market. This one is really critical. This is where most people start off wrong. Like they go out with their offer and they get gung-ho and go, oh, my offer is so amazing, or my product is so amazing, or my service is so amazing. And it probably is. But if you don't know how to connect it to your market and speak to your market, this is a big problem. The number one problem is not having clarity on the who your market is, and not knowing like what motivates them, what demotivates them, what is it that is going to compel them to action versus just thinking about it. Like, do you know those things? Like, if you don't know those things, that's why learning how to connect to those things is so critically important. The third is your message. The third is your message. See, and I wish I had it here, but like Sue, to your point, American, if you took American dollar and $100 bill and you put them up next to each other, you would notice something interesting. They're the same exact size. They're the same exact weight. Like, do you guys ever feel in your industry, in your niche, whatever niche you're in, that there's a lot of companies that kind of sound like others? They're about the same size. They say about the same thing. They kind of do some of the similar things, right? But what's the difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill? It's the message on the piece of paper, right? It's the message on the piece of paper. In other words, it's your offer, right? So usually a big problem beyond the mindset issue, which is why we start with it, because if someone has a problem letting go, if they got head trash getting in the way, if they're constantly relying on the whole idea, oh, I don't have resources, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have the, they're running up against the wall, a plateau. Like all successful people, I mean, to get to a company doing 10 million a year, you got to solve problems of like $1 million problems. If you're going to, depending on where you're at, let's say you're at a $50,000 business, to get to $100,000, you got to solve $50,000 and $100,000 problems to get to $1 million business, right? As simple as that might sound. Like I had a mentor in my early 20s. I've been at this a long time, 1992. And my mentor said, before you start trying to get 1,000 sales, you need to learn how to get 100. And before you first start learning how to get 100, you got to get 10. And before you get 10, you got to learn how to get 1. I mean, and that's really the idea of getting through resourcefulness on your journey. What part of the path are you on? See, if you haven't built, like I've been fortunate, I built At 175 employees at our peak, we were doing over $25 million a year in business before we sold it to a big giant $100 million business. Man, I had a lot of problems along the way. There were a lot of days where, to Ann's point about overwhelm, man, there were a lot of days I was in overwhelm with all these people and all this responsibility. And I had 175 families that I had to take care of. I get it, from hiring and firing and all these different sorts, and making sure our offers worked. Because if our offers went dry, man, I had 175 people. I still had to pay the payroll, right? So I get it. I totally get it. But the who is the next critical thing, and then the offer, or, sometimes, maybe, if you're a fisherman, like my dad for his birthday, we're getting ready to take him on a fishing trip. My dad's getting old, and we're not sure how long my dad's truly going to be around. So I want to be able to spend some of this personal time. So we're taking him out on a special boating trip coming up in a few weeks. And because it's something he loves to do and get out and do that sort of thing. But like when you're fishing, right, if you, like in this lake we're going to, there's a lot of trout and bass. But if you put the wrong bait on the hook, right, or you just put a hook down in the water, this is what a lot of people think they're offering. Oh, I got an offer, it's my hook. And they throw their hook in the water with no bait to it, which is like making the offer better. You're not going to get a trout, you're not going to get a bass. And that's ultimately when people are struggling to get clients. One of the main reasons beyond head trash and the mindset is the market and the who. It's the offer, which then leads to the model. Let's say you've got a message that starts to connect, right? Starts to connect. Then what happens is you got to refine the model. So what is this? This is essentially a system to market and sell. It's a system to market and sell. And again, in a second, I'm going to share a case study with you of how we were able to do this in this example in 17 days with this particular client. But it's a system and market to sell. Now, it looks like my screen stopped, so let me reshare this so you can see it. So it's a system and a market to sell. And then you've got the media side of things, which are traffic sources. Might have to reboot my screen, but ideally you're filling in the blanks here. So you've got your mindset, you've got the market, you've got the message, and you've got the model to be able to work with, right? So those are really, really critical. So model is the system to market, and the media are your traffic sources, right? So people, some of the questions that came in were like, I need to learn how to get more traffic to my offer. Well, you probably need to get your offer correct first before you start focusing on traffic, right? Or other methods are like, how do I get leads or sales where it doesn't cost me anything or not an expense? Well, done right, your leads or your sales should never cost you anything. Notice the key words, done right, right? So let me walk you through an overview. And then one of the other common question was, Dan, how can I work with you? And another question was, hey, Dan, if you're so confident what you do, will you allow me to pay for your program out of the money I make from working with you? And I've got a solution for that, by the way, and I'm going to share that with you here in just a second. So let's go here. This case study that I shared just a few minutes ago. It's a $2,400 program, 175 enrollments in 17 days with 175 seats filled. What did they do? What did they do that was different? So here's what we did. Number one, we started building authority campaigns. Okay, real simple. We started building authority campaigns. Now what we did for this, now by the way, for some of you that are brand new, this might be a little advanced and we can show you how to simplify this, by the way. So don't sweat it if like you're not at this place yet to do like some of these advertising things. There's other ways to do this, either no cost or low cost as well, which we'll talk about. So authority campaigns. So what did we do? We got a few pieces of content, essentially 3 main ones. We had a couple videos and we had an article, right? So think about it. You all have an iPhone, right? So you can get your iPhone, and I encourage you to do this today. I want you to do this today. I want you to pull up your iPhone or your Android, and I want you to record a video that's helping your perfect clients with one main strategy, and make it like a 3 to 5 minute video, giving them some insight, giving them some wisdom, helping them solve a problem. Think about it that way, helping them solve, right? Really, really critical. So we created a couple of those authority things. And then what we did is we used Facebook, one of my 2 favorite traffic platforms, and we ran view campaigns to these content pieces. And what we did is we narrowed down the age, the type of person, like we targeted people who are CEOs, founders, coaches, consultants, the type of clients who are attracted to that particular offer. And we built up people watching the videos or reading the articles, right? So instead of, someone else asked another question of like, do I have to be doing social media because I hate it? And I could relate to that question because I don't like doing social media myself either. And, I punch in about once a week at this point in my career on social media, mostly just to check on some things and do some spot checks, right? But, here's a question I have for you. I know there's some experts out there who are pretty well regarded, pretty well known, pretty popular, high profile, and they go, to be successful, you've got to post 65 posts a day. Man, are you kidding me? 65 posts a day? You must be out of your mind. Like, who has time? So that's one option. That's like the old outdated, like put people in burnout mode. Or B, you can do 1 piece of content or 2. In this case, we did 3. And then you put them in a machine to put views of your perfect audience, the age, the sex, the demographics, psychographics, categories, income level, and only put it in front of those people. And literally you can do this for a penny to 3 cents per view. So we built up thousands, and I'm just going to put thousands. It was much more than this, but it was thousands of people who we built authority to. That was the first step. The second step is we wanted to get people engaged. Do you want people engaged in your business? Right? So again, if you think of the journey of your client, what's their mindset when they come in? Where are they at? And what problems are they facing in the beginning towards the journey of working with you? And so when you identify that, so this particular client, we created a checklist, and I'm just going to abbreviate here, but it was called OPSP. And what did we create? We created an ability where they could enter their name and email to get a checklist to the OPSP. We had 3,000 people opt in a handful of days for the OPSP. That was step number 2. Now you might ask, well, Dan, what did that cost you? That was at an average cost of between $3 and $4 per opt-in. Okay. Now, do you have to generate 3,000 opt-ins in a few days like we did? Or can, like, if you look at this as an annual thing, like, 200 a month, 300 a month, 3 to 5 a day, right? So if you're smaller, don't get hung up on I can't do this because I don't have the ability to spend $3 to $4 in 2 days, 5. No, you can spread this out over time. Everybody start. That's the beauty. You can start where you're at, right? You don't have to be big to do this. Everybody starts small in their own way. Start where you're at. You can run these small campaigns, start building it up over time, especially as it's profitable. And then you can take the money that you're making and roll it back into more and build it up. And it becomes what some experts refer to as the cash flow cycle, right, of profitability, right? And you might even want to write that down, the cash flow cycle of profitability. I'll give you the exact blueprint of that here in a few minutes, right? So that's step 2. Step 3, we had an education-based event, right? And so those people that were in the authority part that I showed you over here, so let me highlight this so you can see it. The authority audience, plus the people who had opted in, which there were about 3,000. So we had tens of thousands of people in the authority group. We had 3,000 plus people on the list. And then we ran an education-based event, like a webinar, where people would opt in to attend that webinar. So they'd register. And then on the webinar, do you like my art, hopefully? So here was the 2 guys, Vern and Daniel, presenting on the webinar, and they made an offer. Now, by the way, when they made the offer, they didn't have 175 people enroll that day. This is where step 4 comes in, right? So we had approximately between the 3,000 people that were already on the list, plus the people in that other audience and new people we started driving in, we had 4,600 people register total. 4,600, right? We had approximately 2,000 plus people attend this webinar, and they made an offer. Now, I don't remember the exact, because I don't want to give you bad information, but what I will say is it looked something like this, pretty close. The first night that they made this offer, we got about 10 sales. The next day we had 5. So you think of all this momentum and they got 15 sales in the first 40. Here's the big problem of where most people miss out with these type of campaigns, with online stuff, etc., because they go, oh, well, it didn't work. Well, it did work very well, because we went from 15 to 175. What made the difference? Would you like to know the difference? Would you like to know, like all these experts that have been teaching you, oh, you just create an offer and like put it in front of them and it's like a magic button and boom, you get amazing results. No, that's where this 4 steps, especially for those of you who like long-term, for those of you who like non-hypey things, those of you who like to really focus on the long-term relationship of your client, that's where this 4th piece comes in, and it's the follow-up. Now, we don't have time to go into the entire architecture of the follow-up, but over the course of approximately 13 more days, again, thinking of the client journey, which I opened up with in the 5 steps, you got to think of your client journey. Over the course of 13 days, we had a series of pieces of content, value, and offers that were made available here. And, you know, and I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I'm just going to use round numbers. We had between 5 and 10 sales a day happening in the follow-up. But what if we would have stopped and looked at the first 48 hours and went, this didn't work? This is what a lot of people do. Or they just run a replay for 1 day or 2 days or 3 days and then stop. We went another 13 days, and when it was all said and done, because of the follow-up, and here's some of the follow-up we did. We sent out emails almost every day. We offered people to have a phone conversation to answer questions one-to-one, which worked out really, really well. And we also offered a couple other pieces of a webinar. So let me show you a couple of these things. So for example, in the first 48 hours, we offered a replay. Now, by the way, are you learning some good stuff here? If you're learning some good stuff from this blueprint and this outline, can you type yes for me in the chat window? I just want to see that this is serving you ideally at the highest level. And I want to make sure that we're on track to give you what you're looking for, because this is related to what most of you said. I want more clients. That was the #1 focal point. All right, it looks like we're hitting a mark here with yeses. All right, perfect. So we did a replay for a couple days. Then after the replay, we offered a PDF that was essentially the print. Like, have you ever worked with clients who said, give me something in writing? So that's what essentially the message was. Give me something in writing, here you go. And it was the PDF of the presentation so people could kind of digest it and see it. And we essentially gave people the ability in our follow-up with email to consume that for a couple days. Then after the PDF, we created a summary video of the offer. So, you know, some people aren't going to sit on an hour and a half webinar. By the way, today's is much, much shorter. This is a much shorter educational based event. Most like traditional webinars go almost 2 hours, you know, done properly. So the summary video is really designed to be like a 15-minute, 20-minute overview. So we did a summary video, right? Then we did a Q&A drive, meaning we said, hey, can you tell us what's holding you back, why you're not getting rolling? And we did a Q&A and we asked. And then what we did is we did what's called a Q&A webinar. We did a Q&A webinar and got together and, you know, explained, #1, you know, how do you solve some of the problems you're having? And a lot of times people are asking, like they're asking about this, going, hey, tell me about your program and how it solves some of these things, right? So we did a Q&A webinar. Then we did what we call the 72-hour sequence, which is, you know, because their class was starting basically a couple days after this date, you're closing it down. We don't have any more seats available. That's it, right? So you're doing it basically the 72-hour window. So these different pieces over 13 extra days is what added the 175 sales. So that you should write this down. The fortune is in the follow-up, and the follow-up you look at as a mini series. Now, whether you use it exactly the way I blueprinted it out here, you might want to try that if you can, but if you can't do all of it, start doing pieces of it, or do other pieces. Like, for example, you might be most comfortable where you take your iPhone and you do a quick 5, 10, 15-minute video. So that could be 3 of these follow-up pieces, really in a simple way, right? Versus creating a new webinar versus creating a new PDF or that sort of thing, right? So in the beginning, think of it as a mini series you're creating. Now, by the way, once you develop a relationship with someone, ideally you continue to build a relationship with them by continuing, look at yourself like you're planting apple seeds. Look at that like you're planting apple seeds, because here's the bottom line. Most people, if they're new to your world, they don't know you, they don't trust you, they're probably not going to buy from you unless, and I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why people will buy, right? But there's more people who will not buy. So if you just stop communicating with them, then what ends up happening is you lose the relationship and you lose money. The key is to have ongoing mini-series campaigns going on. What does this mean? You're adding value to them. Add value. Over time, and everybody has timing factors. Now, what we found, here's another critical secret we found with enrollments. When people attend or participate in 2 educational-based events that you host, right, and they engage in one tool, this can be a checklist, it can be a book, it can be a guide, it can be a few different things, but 2 educational events and a tool, what happens is trust goes up exponentially, and we also see an exponential factor where the key question to ask yourself, I think, Ann, you brought this up, but maybe not, and that is, like, I don't want to sell people. I don't want to be selling. The key is if you do build this mini series model we're talking about, you build the mini series model and don't just look at, oh, I'm trying to close a bunch of sales. No, it's the beginning of a relationship, not the ending of a relationship. It starts the relationship. It might take 3 months, 4 months, 6 months through your process to engage them in 2 education type events in one tool. And what happens, they buy from you versus having to be sold, because trust goes up. Respect also goes up exponentially. Now, what do we call this? This is our framework. This is something that we have as a proprietary method, which is called the direct response branding method. Add the little trademark sign. Sorry, my writing is not as good as it probably could have been. I should have paid attention in school a little bit more. But nonetheless, it's direct response branding. If you had to narrow all of this down, what makes this work, this process, that why we work with the private clients we do, maybe why you're intrigued to be here, you're watching this right now and going, yeah, and ask yourself, do you want to do what these hardcore old school direct marketers do? Or do you want to do what a lot of these branding experts are teaching, 65 posts a day, and over time, what if you could combine both, which is what we do, what we help you do to get to your perfect clients. And again, it comes back to the basics of these 5 steps that we walk through, right? So just to kind of recap this, you've got mindset, market, message, model, media, right? Then, ideally you want to do some things to build your authority campaigns. And I got a couple stories I want to share of some recent people, literally started 10 days ago, that gave us some feedback on what we're doing here and how this is really connected for them. Then you've got an education-based event. Then you've got follow-up, right? At the end of the day, you want to build your version of a direct response branding system, right? Or we call this the perfect client system. It's helping build a perfect client system. Now, if you've learned some good stuff on this so far, let me know. I just, again, want to make sure we're on the right track. I'm going to stop my share here. Let me know if you're getting some good info to respond. Because I'd like you to quickly imagine what it would be like if you had direct response branding working properly in your business, right? Having a perfect client blueprint that brings you clients daily, and it was in place like right now, right? Being positioned as the #1 authority in your field. So you're the only choice and the obvious choice for your customers, or having your calendar filled with appointments to onboard new clients every day, or having a new method and system that converts your traffic into long-term clients. Glenn, to your point, a system. Because what would it be worth to get this in place, right? The client that I shared just a few minutes ago, that we helped them generate 175 clients in 17 days. What do you think they're thinking and imagining? Like, well, what if we do this every month? What if we do 2 of these a month? What if we can get this working even bigger, because they only invested a small amount of money when it was really, if you really think about it, to generate that. Well, what if we put more behind it? Like, so there's all kinds of factors that what would it be worth to your bottom line? Could it be worth 50 grand, 100 grand, $1 million, 5 million, 10 million? Success is optional. And at the end of the day, you decide what you want or what you don't want in your results. And you can decide how little or how big you want to build it. And I know that might sound oversimplified, but that's the truth. Do you have to advertise? You don't have to. Would I recommend it for someone? Here's the key. Once you get through the first 3 M's, you've got your mindset right, that you know what to expect, right? The biggest thing, I know Bruce even said this, one of our clients who I featured earlier. Bruce said, the thing I love about you, Dan, is that you just tell it straight away. Like, I'm going to tell you what it costs to generate leads. Like, here's what you should expect. Most people have complete disappointment, and I have too, and this is why I share it, because they go into a program and then they run a campaign and they get leads for $5, and they feel like a failure because they thought what the expert was teaching was going to show them how to get a lead for 50 cents. Well, no, that's a mismatch. That's a lack of integrity. So we give you the ranges, and the fact that I have about a dozen private clients collectively. Between all of them, they do millions a month, and they're doing a lot of money in advertising. So we can give you ranges of exactly what to expect, so that you're not getting hit with these hidden, like, if you've ever been hit by these hidden gotchas, I think you're going to love our approach to how we do what we do and what we stand for and all those sorts of things. So advertising, though, you have to have your mindset right with expectation. You need to be really clear on your who. And in our program, not only the live workshop, but the online portion will guide you through getting ultimate clarity on your who and where do they hang out. And number 3 is the message, right? Then once you've got that, then you can go advertise. But you don't have to advertise. You can also do joint ventures. You can do affiliates. There's other organic things you can do, and we'll show you how to do that. In fact, the 5 parts of the toolbox we give you, they're showing you how to do this organically, right? Bruce, when he got started, he started organically. He didn't advertise up front. In fact, he's just getting ready to start advertising. He's only been working with us for about 5 months. He did it all applying our organic. Here's what he did. When we asked him, how big is your list? He said, I've got a couple hundred people on my social media pages, and I've got a couple hundred people on my email list. And we gave him the emails to send out as part of the program. And he started sending out these invitations to invite him to an education-based event. He did his presentation. He made an offer. He made some sales, and he did that every week for about 90 days. And he got 117 clients, mostly organically, from this process without any advertising, without any risk of advertising. Now, will it work like this for you that way? I don't know your market. I don't know your business. I don't know your product. If you haven't gotten your first 100 clients, you shouldn't be thinking that much about scaling yet. Truth be told. Like my mentor said, Dan, quit worrying about 10,000 clients till you got 1,000, till you got 100, till you got 10, till you got 1 with that new offer or whatever that offer might be. So I encourage you, if you're looking for a way to simplify this, if you're looking for a way to get clarity, if you're looking for a way to, save on time and money, and you're looking for a proven system that we're going to literally hand you our blueprint of a $20 million a year business. And now we've helped so many private clients do this sort of thing. It's, probably 10, 20, 30 times that. We're going to just hand it to you. We're not going to just hand it to you, by the way. We're going to walk you through it. I'm going to be your coach. If you allow me to be your coach, I get a little excited, as you can tell, because I want you to be successful. I want you to go out and help more people in your industry. I want you to help more people in your niche. If that's what you want, we want that for you too. So I'll leave you with one last thing as we roll out. This champion, the reason I chose champion on the back of this URL, it's an acronym in our family. And if you ask my 14-year-old and 12-year-old, what does that champion acronym stand for? It's our household values. And, if you ask Kyler, who's 12, he plays quarterback, he goes, choose health, action, mastery, purpose, invest in yourself, be an opportunity seeker, never quit on you. And I hope you'll take our values, and however they fit for you, however they connect to you. One of the eight pieces of the values of that champion acronym connects with you, or all 8 connect with you. I hope you go apply it today and you choose to be successful, that you realize you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've been doing and keep getting the same result, or you can do something with a little bit of a shift, and you can find someone, ideally, whether it's me or find someone else that you connect better with, or ideally you connect with us, that you choose success, that you say yes to your success and you choose to be the best, that you choose to go out and win today. And the way you win today is you win each play. I want to show you how to win each play in business as it relates to direct response branding and building your perfect client system. Higher purpose, right? I'm not going to speak a whole lot about that, but you fit in the gaps for you, what that means to you. And also health, right? So the H in this acronym: choose, health, higher purpose. Health, I was 85 pounds heavier than I am today, and I'm grateful to be healthier than I've ever been. I'm grateful that I get to go out and I've coached football 4 days a week with my kids' team, and I'm healthy. And I love being able to be active, and I love being able to be present, and I love being able to be available. Availability is one of those rare abilities as you get older, right? So choose, health, and higher purpose. A is action taker. I've never met any successful people that were just talkers. They're people that are action takers. So I encourage you, what action are you going to take today from our time? Are you going to go apply some of this, or are you just going to have it roll off your back and, just have it sit and simmer? I can promise you that Stephanie, right, and Terry and Robert, who I shared, and several of the stories I've shared, they were action takers. They took action. Action precedes the miracle. M is mastery and mentoring. Choose, health, action, mastery. What are you going to commit to be a master of? You can be a master of minor things, or you can be a master of major things. What will you choose today? I can assure you that focusing and getting mastery in marketing and selling systems is one of the key critical things of business success. And it's right here on a silver platter to help you. And I'd love to. Purpose, what's your purpose, right? I hope it goes beyond just making money. I hope it goes beyond just getting sales of your product or service. I remember when I sold my company, truth be told, one of my 2 companies, I felt empty, and I felt alone, and I felt isolated, and like I had no purpose anymore, because it was like my baby was taken away from me. And I had to regroup, and I actually went through several months of being low, depressed, whatever you want to call it. And I'm so grateful today that I still get the ability to help more and more and more people. And I don't know what your purpose is, but I'd love to know. And I'd love to help you fill that purpose, to make sure that whatever you do, when you get to success, it isn't an empty feeling like so many successful people I've met. I love being a dad and a husband, 1A and 1B, right? I'm leaving here in a few minutes to go to my son's football team to coach. There's nothing you will say or do, or you couldn't write me a check to stay on this call longer, because that's part of my purpose. Now, again, I hope that I can help you fill whatever that is for you. Not me going, hey, look at me. No, I want to help you. Invest in yourself. I've never met anybody successful that wasn't willing to invest in themselves first. So enough about that. The O is opportunity seeker. It's easy to be a naysayer. It's easy to be a skeptic. I've never seen a statue erected for a skeptic. I've never seen a statue erected for someone who's a naysayer. Statues get built for people who do great things, contribute great things, help great people, or a lot of people, help a lot of people, right? So be an opportunity seeker. And lastly is never quit on you. Again, whether it's me, hopefully you connect, but if we don't, I hope you go find someone. And if we don't connect, email me at my team at help@breakthrough3x.com and let us know, and we'll get you connected to somebody that maybe is more your style, more your cup of tea. You like strawberries, we like chocolate. We'll get you connected to what you like or what you prefer. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to serve you. Been a pleasure to share some time with you. If you'd like to get started, we've got a couple options we've made available to try to help, especially in these uncertain, unpredictable times, to help you, whether you're crushing it and you can just get started and paying full, or you got to dip your toe in the water because of circumstance. I want to help you. I want to help you crack the code so that you can go out and have a perfect client system that brings you a steady flow of clients every single day. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to serving you. Enjoy your day. Go do something great today. Make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Live as a champion. That's it for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day, or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.